Welcome back to the Weekend Warrior Show Recap Podcast. TyJon Charlie here. Been a while since I've sat down to do this solo style pod. A lot to talk about. Main thing I wanted to get into would be my trip down to Austin. Got to play a few shows down there during South by Southwest Music Festival, so just kind of want to get into that mainly. I got some other stuff I'll probably talk about at the end, but up top here, the main thing is I just got to say thank you to pretty much everybody that made this possible for me to go down there and play. There are so many people that donated money or time or thought into making it happen, and I'm just really not used to being that supported, honestly. I'm used to kind of going it alone, but it was super nice to have some people behind me that were excited about me going and trying to make it all happen. And I don't know, I can't express the gratitude quite enough, and it feels weird, kind of. But anyway, I do appreciate, obviously, special shout out to Michael from Alive Again and Steve. They did probably the most work to make it happen, and Michael, above and beyond, I mean, he's the one that even got me the show. I mean, when it comes down to it, he showed me the who to apply to and said that they were looking for people to fill out some time slots down there. And if it were just me, I think that I probably would have seen it and probably not applied, but he pushed me to do it, and got me going in the right place, and I did the online application, and apparently there were 1,000 applicants and they only picked 70, so it was pretty cool to be included in that lineup, and just having the adventure at all was pretty awesome. But I'll get into that. And I mean, there was a lot of uncertainty with the trip, honestly. It was leading up to it. It was going back and forth with the person who was booking it, and other people involved. We weren't getting emails right, but he stayed on top of it, and I tried to stay on top of it, and we made it happen. And largely, in part due to Michael. So I got to thank Michael a lot. And he went down there with me. He drove a good portion of it. He did a bunch of things. He was selling these or the T-shirts that you see in the back. Him and Steve, I think, designed them and tried to sell them to kind of fund the trip. And they did a little raffle, and just we're putting the good word out. I think that's half of it. Some of the time, as I kind of struggle with that part of it. But anyway, I mean, I definitely don't think I would have made it down there, especially this time. I mean, I wouldn't have even known where to apply. So, super awesome. And then Meredith Gessner also for letting us use her car, which was amazing. She did a bunch of other really nice things, donated some money, and I bought a shirt and all that stuff. I mean, it was above and beyond, and that made it super easy for us to get down there and make it I mean, we were planning on renting a car before that, so it was already in the hole before we even started, really. So it was definitely amazing and very generous. And anybody, like I said, who put any sort of effort or time or thought into making it happen, I mean, I just can't thank you enough. And then Michael actually got me a second show down there, so it wasn't just the South by Southwest set. It was he got me a house show. Somebody he knew through the Rock Boat, Suzanne, and I think it was a friend of a friend actually, but they agreed to have us at her house, and we got to stay there. So obviously that saved a bunch of money as well. So just a lot of good things. A lot of cool things happened from people just being super nice. And I don't know, I keep saying thanks, but thank you. So yeah, leading up to the show, we were a little uncertain how it all was going to pan out. And it was 45-minute set was what the South by Southwest thing was. So this is kind of different than my normal set style, because usually I play 3 hours and I try to get, anywhere from 10 to 20 originals in throughout the night. And that varies, quite a bit depending on the place and the kind of bar, the venue. I mean, if I'm playing at Michael and Steve's place, I'm going to be playing mostly originals, right? So, but if I'm playing Kilkenny's in Davenport, I'm probably going to do a lot of covers. So just depends. And I can kind of get lost in, trying to please the crowd sometimes with those longer sets and just playing not enough of my originals, or maybe the sound isn't quite right. So I lean into the covers a little bit more. So having this 45-minute set kind of made me focus a little bit more. And I've done this in the past a few times where, I've had specific set lists that I'm going to play at bigger events, and I just kind of run the set. So I did that a bunch, and it's kind of hard to narrow it down, honestly, to 45 minutes. I think when I started, I had like 15, and then by the end, I had like 10 or 11. So I had to cut a bunch of songs, but I had the house show the night before, and so that definitely was helpful as far as getting some of those other songs out and played. But it's just a different mentality, You start to really dial in the focus on those kind of smaller sets, and or those specific songs of what's going to be that set, I should say. And so I'm running the set, once or twice a week, and then I'm trying to get all those songs in at all the shows on the weekend. And by the end of it, I was feeling pretty good. I scheduled a bunch of shows around it too, that, to help kind of try to fund the whole trip, because not the cheapest adventure, but so I had Friday, Saturday, I had a sound gig on Sunday at Alive Again. And the open mic on Monday that I run there every second Monday. I don't know if you say I run it, but, I do the sound. I try to, keep it moving, and, I would say Steve and Michael kind of host it more than I really host it. But anyhow, so I actually had a Davenport show that Saturday night. So I got back at like 5 a.m. I was already tired before the week even started. And then, I had a Friday show. I don't really remember where that one was at. And then Sunday did sound, and they were nice enough over at Alive Again to let me set up all my gear and kind of do a complete run through after, which was very cool and generous to kind of get ready for the set. And it's kind of a struggle because, I did, the show was great. The Casey's show, I don't know if anybody was there or remembers that show, but very good set, and sounded great on both Casey's front. And then after, since I'm kind of the sound guy over there a lot of the time, not all the time, but just run the sound, and then I have to run my own sound after. And they did invite people to kind of stick around if they wanted to see the South by Southwest set, since a lot of, nobody's really going to go all the way to Austin to check that out. So a few people did stick around, which was very nice, but it took me a really long time to get everything set up because, I just bring way too much stuff all the time. And I wanted to, and it was scaled back really from what I normally do because those types of situations where it's a 45-minute set, it's like you have 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after to kind of, you get all your stuff on, plugged in, sound checked, do the 45-minute set, and then just how fast can you kind of get it off. So, I had it all kind of set perfectly, like packed perfectly, I should say. And, but it still took a long time. And when I'm doing my own sound, I'm setting everything up on the stage, doing a little sound check, maybe going back, kind of readjusting things, back and forth. So it did take a long time, and I don't think it got dialed in perfectly, but that was probably good, honestly, because at the, you don't know what the sound's going to be like at the actual event. So because it wasn't exactly dialed in, it's probably more realistic to what it was going to be like at the South by Southwest show. So that was probably a good thing. And it wasn't feeling super confident after that little set that night, but the next day, since it was the open mic was right after, they let me just kind of keep my stuff all set up. So then I, ran the set again before, and I had a chance to get everything dialed in a little bit better. And so I felt pretty confident in that set, and that was kind of like the starting line of the whole thing, I think, because it went Monday open mic, and ran the set, then open mic, and then in between, I actually had to tear everything down and get it kind of packed up. But then after the open mic, it was get everything packed in the car for the Austin trip. And as I said, Michael was riding, driving a lot of the way. Kind of traded off. But he got there kind of late too, and I think he wasn't there till after 7, and he hadn't packed it all. But he was like super quick to get ready, and so the open mic probably ended around 9 or so, and then it was like pack everything in the car, and then it was a 16-hour drive, and I did not sleep great on this. I think we kind of didn't really nobody was sleeping at the beginning at all. He was driving for a little bit, and then we switched, and he zonked out pretty quick, and then I was 4 or 5 hours of driving, and then I was like, okay, I'm probably ready to sleep now. And I guess I wasn't. I could not really get myself comfortable. I'm sure some of it had to do with the anxiety of the whole thing. Just it's a daunting task, and we're just in the beginning of it. There was a lot of dauntingness leading up to that as well, and just lots of shows and other things, and trying to stay on top of all the things. And I just could not get comfortable. I probably slept 2 hours in that night because we drove from probably 11 to midnight or whatever when we finally got on the road from Bloomington to the show the next day, which I think we got there around 3 or 4. So I slept a couple hours, couldn't really get comfortable, ended up and drove a couple more hours closer to Austin, and then we switched back. And I was, I was, because of the lack of sleep, it made me a little extra nervous, but I was pretty lucky. I think the adrenaline kind of carried me all the way through, which you never really know. But I guess you're just hoping that that's what's going to happen. And it did. So got there around, like I said, 3 or 4. Met Suzanne. She was very nice, and set up in the backyard, and had plenty of time to get all that stuff, I jumped in the shower after that and got ready to play the show. They actually had a light guy coming. They had a whole crazy light set up, so it really made the whole set feel extra professional. It was a very nice night too, which was awesome. I think it was my first outside show of the year, really, which was cool because it was just in Austin. It was backyard, so it felt a little bit like it could have been anywhere. But the extra light set up definitely made it feel more professional. And because we had the bigger car that Meredith let us borrow, I fit all my regular sound gear, so it's pretty much just like business as usual for me. I know how to set that stuff up and do it kind of the normal way, and it being outside made it easy to do the sound, and it went well. That's the bottom line of it. There was probably, maybe 20 people or something. I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 20, 25. I really don't know, probably, but it was a good show, very good warm-up show, and the crowd was very attentive. It was a very nice night. I played very well, mostly originals. It just felt good, and that kind of gave me a little bit of extra confidence for the next day at that set, which was good. So that set, or that day, I should say, got up kind of early, but I finally got a good 8 hours in that night, I think, which I really needed, but still pretty exhausted because you don't make up for missing 6 hours by sleeping an appropriate amount the next night. So was still a little bit tired, but got up, enjoyed the outside a little bit, did a little workout outside, and we got ready to go pretty early. I think we were on the road by 11 or 12, which I didn't really need to be at the venue till I think 4 because I played at 5. But we got there pretty early, and we decided to go to Terry Black's before, which is it's not a barbecue place. It's brisket. Yeah, so famous, kind of nationally famous, I guess, brisket place. And I'd heard about it, and Suzanne told us to maybe check that place out. So yeah, we went there, and it was really busy, but we were pretty in and out. And like I thought we would have to wait in line a lot longer, but it was great food. Got the beef tips and the brisket, and he got like macaroni, and he got some sausage because they have like really good jalapenos. It was delicious, and it's kind of cool because I've heard people talk about it before, so it was neat to just be at the actual place that they talk about. And that kind of is when it really felt like, you know, I'm in Austin, because I guess the house show didn't totally, because it was just a backyard and kind of a little subdivision, not like in the city. So didn't totally, I mean, you could see the skyline a little bit when we were driving in and stuff, but didn't feel like we were in Austin necessarily. But, you know, when we got to lunch that day, it really felt like, okay, we're in the city now. And it was kind of rough to find parking there. I mean, they had some of the streets blocked off, and like we didn't know really where to go, and we ended up and found a spot that we could unload. They yelled at us a little bit, but once we said we weren't going to be there very long, the parking attendant guy was pretty nice about it. So dropped all my stuff off kind of behind the bar, and then Michael went and parked and came back, and then we loaded it in. And I mean, like I keep saying, it was dialed back compared to what I would normally bring, but still probably too much stuff. I could have just played acoustic, but I wanted to do the one-man band thing. I wanted to be, you know, true to, and I did that the night before as well. So I wanted to keep it kind of in that general direction as far as like, this is what I really do and sound like. And that was the setup I applied for as well. When I did the application, I sent a video of me playing in that style. So I wanted to be sure and actually do it, I guess. So got in there pretty quick. I got everything, you know, pretty much ready to just plug and play as much as possible. It was really easy from that point. We got a pretty good spot on the merch table. Wasn't a ton of people when we got there. But so we had a lot of time to kill after that. And we got to walk the 6th Street in Austin. And, you know, that's kind of if you're a musician, you've heard of 6th Street in Austin, I think, in some fashion. You've definitely heard the Austin music scene's pretty big and intense and a cool place to be. But 6th Street, I think, if you were going to compare it to something, would be like Nashville's Broadway. Of course, not as and quite as intense as that, but I think that kind of a similar vibe there. So we got to walk, check out some of those bars. The Comedy Mothership, which is a place where a lot of my favorite comedians do shows. So that was cool. And that was actually only like a few buildings down, which was, I just didn't even expect that I would even get to see it. So it was cool. Got a shirt, as you can see. I'm supporting the, you know, Austin, Texas Comedy Mothership shirt. Killed some time, went back up and enjoyed some of the people playing before, and then was my set. And you know, it wasn't a crazy turnout or anything, kind of the same as the night before. And even a couple of the people that were there last night kind of showed up to support me that day, which was awesome. And another weird thing that happened too was the guy that booked it, he did ask if I would be interested in staying an extra night and playing like a late night set, which part of me really wanted to do, but I had a show on Friday still. And Michael had a concert he had to get back for that he had tickets for that he was taking his mom to, and I think his grandparents. So there's a lot of reasons not to. And of course, he was overly nice about everything like he is all the time, and was like, oh, don't worry about it. We can just stay. But I didn't really want to do that to him. And I knew I'd be worthless for my Friday show if I did stay, because then it would be another 16 hours in the car. Way later, and it just would have been much harder. But it did kind of convince me to I did do something after, which I'll get into in a minute. But so yeah, the set happened, and I felt really, really solid. And I did the night before, and I did on the open mic, so it was like 3 what felt like very good sets in a row, and you know, the focused, all original 45-minute-ish type sets. The house show was 2 hours, so I definitely threw a bunch of extra stuff in, a few covers here and there, but mainly sticked and focused on originals. But anyway, so I don't know. It was just really cool to be in that kind of like that high prep. I've been in those situations before and maybe not done as great. Because because you know, your adrenaline and your nerves can kind of get the best of you. I don't think I've ever done terrible, but maybe a couple times, but um, but you know, to be in that kind of high pressure situation where you're playing this big event on 6th Street in Austin, and not doing my own sound, all those extra X factors, and then to, you know, actually show up and do a pretty decent job, which I'm planning on posting definitely some clips, maybe the whole show. I listened to the whole thing and thought, even though it's just a cell phone video, I thought, you know, it did sound pretty good. You know, I was feeling in the groove that whole time. Like I said, I think the adrenaline kind of, you know, powered me through. And yeah, so, and then the set was over and it was cool and it sounded good, and, you know, talked to a few people that enjoyed it, and it was, I had pretty much zero expectation. You know, when you're younger, I think you kind of do something like that and you think, oh, these big things are going to happen. You're going to get like a record deal or signed or something. But, you know, I didn't have any of that in my head. So I was kind of just there to enjoy the experience of playing. You know, I don't know it. The way it happened was so random, and I just got to play at 6th Street in Austin, Texas. Like, so cool during the South by Southwest Music Festival. So I was just appreciating that at face value. So I think because I had like not crazy expectations of, oh, I'm gonna be seen necessarily, I just got to have a good time and just enjoy the moment of doing the thing, you know. And the set just felt really tight, you know, 45 minutes I'd been working on, and I didn't miss a song, which I was a little disappointed. I thought I had it so memorized, and then, of course, I glossed over one. I played it the night before, but I wish I would have played it during the set. But I played a couple different ones at the end that I wasn't really planning on also, so it never really goes exactly how you expect. But I don't know how that happened. I had it perfectly memorized, I felt like, but you know, can never totally be prepared, I guess. But anyway, show went good, and because, you know, I had a little bit of that, like, I wish that I could stay and play that extra set. Earlier when we were walking around, Michael and we had seen some people kind of next to the Comedy Mothership, busking in the street. So I had this idea. Well, Michael kind of mentioned it, I think, and then I was like, well, I saw people set up over there. Like, let's maybe after my set, just for a little bit, just to, you know, I don't know if I'm ever going to be back in Austin. I mean, I hope I make it back there at some point, but you never really know. So it's kind of a one-in-a-lifetime thing, and I got to play next to so it's set up outside, and got to play next to the Comedy Mothership, just busking in the street on 6th Street during South by Southwest. So all the stuff was very cool. I ended up and got to play 3 times, and you know, it was loud on the street. It wasn't like, because they kind of do the Nashville thing where there's a lot of doors and windows open, so you can hear different bands kind of at the same time performing. But you know, if you were 5 to 10 feet away, you could hear me pretty good, I think. Good enough, anyway. You could hear me good enough. 5 feet, well, you could probably hear me pretty decent. But, you know, that's not, when you're busking, it's kind of trying to draw people in, ultimately. So that's what I was doing. And a guy with a camera came up, like a nice camera came up and filmed some of the set that I was doing. And it was a good time. Got to play, like, on the street. And then we packed it up and hightailed it back, and 16 more hours in the car. I drove, like, I think till like 6 a.m. and I drove in Austin a little bit, which I wasn't expecting to, but it was kind of cool to watch the city as we kind of drove away. And it was an awesome experience. I so thankful to all the people that made it happen, and couldn't have done it without Michael for sure, Steve and Meredith. But, you know, so many people were just so generous with buying either like a t-shirt or paying to be in the raffle, or just so many things, so many kind people. And it was awesome. So I really appreciate it. Again, anybody who helped out in any way. I mean, I'm super grateful, and it was a super awesome time. But, and then I got back. I had shows the next weekend. I actually had 3. And for that Friday show, it was weird. It was like I definitely was tired when I got back, but I played that show on Friday and was very exhausted. But I felt like I was just in the pocket all night. Felt really solid. Did some unexpected covers that I'd been kind of working on secretly, and just to see if I could do them, because I felt it was just acoustic, so that definitely made a difference. But I felt like, so I was like, I feel like I figured something out or something, and then the next two shows were not as easy. Did not sound maybe as good. I don't know. I just uncomfortable. It's not, it ebbs and flows. I'm glad that that's how it all worked out, because I'm, wanted to play good in Austin ultimately. That was the main thing. So, but I played at a show on Saturday where I just like could not hear it right, could not quite get in the pocket. It sounded fine, got good tips and everything, but it just wasn't as easy to sound good. And the same thing happened on my Monday set for St. Patty's Day at Poor Brothers. I set up stuff just a little bit different, and very loud room, and didn't should have thought it through a little bit better. Maybe I was just still a little exhausted, and I made again okay tips that day, and I felt okay enough, but it was just an uncomfortable set. It just didn't feel as those other sets felt so nice and smooth, and these were not as nice and smooth. So it never fails, you feel like, I got something, I finally figured something out. I think I'm going to be good forever now. And then all it takes is a couple of shows just to completely humble you and be like, okay, well, need to get back to work. I need to, try to figure these things out. And then luckily this last weekend I had a couple of shows where it sounded pretty good and I felt pretty good. So like I always say, you kind of only feel as good as your last set sounded. So, there was a week there where I was just like, what's going on? Why did it? But it probably made me practice a little extra and just be more on top of stuff, try to catch up on that sleep a little bit. So since then, I've had a song released, The Light. It's out anywhere you stream. I shot a little music video for it with the lyrics and all that. Pretty happy with the way this one turned out. Definitely more of an upbeat kind of rock song, acoustic rock, singer-songwriter-y type thing. I don't know. I'm excited with the way it turned out. I'm always a little anxious getting stuff out. Like, is it going to be as good as I hope? And the true test is really when I listen back in 2 months and haven't listened to it for a little bit to really know if I am proud of it as I want to be. But I think it sounds pretty good right now. So I'm in a better spot than a lot of times. In the last release, I felt that way too with Station 11, the live version of that in the studio, which I should be doing a full deep dive podcast into that here soon. Kind of going into the story behind that song a little more in depth, and I'll probably do the same with The Light. And then on the horizon, I'm in the studio this Wednesday. I'm going to be finishing up a cover song. So I've never released a cover song. So I'm very excited. It is the live style, and I did a few covers in that session. So I'm kind of interested to see how those are all going to kind of play out. I picked them a different way. I didn't want to just carbon copy songs. Not that I can really theoretically do that. I don't know if my skill set allows me to do that, but these are songs that are either kind of more B-side by the artist, or like I feel like I do them maybe in a more interesting way than just covering them, trying to be, measure to measure as close to the song as I can be. I kind of my more original take, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So this first one's a pretty laid-back tune, but I'm not going to ruin the surprise of what the song is, but very excited about that. And another, I think Scarface is next on the studio acoustic tunes that I've been working on. That's the stuff to be on the lookout for. And if you haven't, go stream The Light, because every stream, share, follow, all that stuff just makes all the difference. And if you feel so inclined and want to help me out just a little bit, all it takes is those little things. But yeah, so that was the Austin trip, South by Southwest. Was an incredible experience. Was awesome. I'll be sharing some clips and stuff from that whole trip, but the set specifically probably coming here soon. And as always, I appreciate anybody who takes the time to listen, and very much appreciated anything that anybody did to help me get down there, and I can't thank you enough. And looking forward to the next adventure. So I'll see you next time. Thank you.